But anyway, that we were back on age here. I wanted to ask you a question. Who is the best pro wrestler that you have ever seen at the age of 45 plus? You can make it best any way you want. It was a best wrestler, but he looked like, or God, he really looked great and was great in the ring too, or he looked great, but he just slowed down. Who was the best 45 plus pro wrestler?
Nowadays, so many guys still are doing it at that age, and there have been great comebacks, but I'm going to go with someone who I would have picked if you asked me this question 20 years ago, Terry Funk.
Okay. You know who I'm going to pick?
No.
Nick Bockwinkel.
That's a great pick. Yeah, that's a great pick.
Because here's the thing, and we all love Terry. And the reason why this comes up, and I asked this question, is we're going to talk about Bobby Lashley in a minute. But when you think about at 45, Terry could still go, but my God, he'd still already done damage. He had bad knees when he was 35. Nick Bockwinkel, when he was 45 years old, still physically looked like a greyhound, worked long matches, short matches, took bumps. His work was always fucking precise to begin with, but he actually, I think, got better during his 40s when he had that long run with the AWA title, worked with Lawler, worked with fucking all of Vern's guys, traveled a bit. Because Billy Robinson, when he was 45, he could still stick your head up your ass if he wanted to, but when he was in the 60s, he looked like a greyhound. In the 80s, he looked like a St. Bernard. He could still go, and it was weird, the cardio that he had to look like that, but he didn't still look physically sleek and in shape. I saw him when Bill Dundee was almost 40, and Billy Robinson was almost 45, and they went about 40 minutes one night in Lexington, and I never saw anybody blow Dundee up. Dundee never blew up, and Dundee was fucking holding his sides and staggering down the aisle, and Robinson, big fat ass, just fucking got down and walked back to the locker room. He was a fucking freak. And they went hard, but that's what I was thinking is, you had guys in those days, the territory days, that wrestled until they were 50 and 60. And that was almost expected. When you were a main event guy in the wrestling business, the only reason you would quit before your 50s is if you had enough money and just said, fuck it. But otherwise, that was not old for a lot of wrestlers because the style was different. Nobody was taking the goofy bumps or doing the flips, but you didn't even get to be a top guy in wrestling until you were in your 30s and sometimes in their 40s. As a matter of fact, Bockwinkel was 40 years old or 30 years old, wasn't he, when he went to, or 35, I can't remember, when he went to the AWA and started working for Vern to begin with.
Yeah.
Because he had been in the business since he was a teenager because his dad was a wrestler, but he'd always been a kind of a middle top baby face in a territory or whatever, but never a big main event guy until he was almost 20 years in. Point is, you didn't get those opportunities. You had to get experience. Experience was more important. Knowing what to do when was more important. Knowing how to get yourself over and talk on TV and etc. That was all more important than the actual physical part of your match. Guys learned over a period of years to do that stuff right. So the experienced wrestler was at more of a premium than the young guy that was flying all around taking all the bumps because they were the ones that would draw you money. So that's why that most guys didn't get the big push until they'd been in the business some period of time. There was always Jack Briscoe, obviously, right out of fucking college being the NCAA champion, or Lawler, just because, in Memphis he had the mouth and started drawing the money. Jarrett went with him. Or, Terry Gordy, because he's a fucking freak. But, otherwise than that, guys were older on average in the territories. And also that led to them looking, especially in the main event spots, like they were crustier old guys that would fuck you up rather than young kids that don't look menacing. And I mean, I go back to the age thing again with OVW. A lot of our crowd was older than the guys in the ring, but at least the guys in the ring, we concentrated on people that looked like athletes. As I've said many times, there's a reason why I don't play John Holmes in the biopic of his life. I don't fit the fucking picture. We had guys that had athletic backgrounds and looked like professional athletes, except for the odd person that was meant to be physically unintimidating. And that added, with the guys being a little bit older and crustier, that added to the intimidation factor, I guess. Anyway, who's the best over 70-year-old wrestler you ever saw?
Come on, Luthez.
Nope. Think about this. Thez retired before he was 70 and only came back for the goddamn match with Chono, where he had the artificial hip. Right?
How many wrestlers after the age of 70 can we name? I mean, Bill Dundee's still working, isn't he?
He does. He's had a nip done, a hip done, I believe, and a knee done. And I would not say that the current Bill Dundee spot show match would be representative of the incredible talent that he had years ago. But, I've got to say him again, Lawler. Fucking guy, 72. What? The next time he has a fucking match, it will look the same as it did fucking 15 or 20 years ago. He knows what to do, what not to do. And now he just concentrates on the shit that people want to see that he can still do. And he works at the end of the match, and it's fucking brilliant for the audiences. I loved the matches that he had when he was 60. When he had the last fucking couple of runs on WWE television, just because they were different than everything else we were seeing, and it brought back good memories. But I wouldn't put him on national television at this stage, because I still don't think he would suck, but there's limitations. But for spot show audiences, he can go out and he looks the same and he can get the fucking thing done. And it's amazing to me. I don't know why he has the patience to do it, but it's his hobby now. It's not like he needs the money. He's got more money than the federal government.